That it was a war to liberate Uganda from tyranny, bad governance, and turmoil. But in Acholi land, the Liberation War of 1986 delivered 21 years of war, destruction, poverty, and anguish. In 1996, all the Acholi in the rural areas were ordered out of their homes within 48 hours into displacement camps. Within a short time, the homes and everything else they left behind were destroyed. In these camps, like gulags, poor sanitation, food shortage, and lack of medical facilities pushed upwards morbidity, maternal and infant mortality rates. In 2002, the military operation Iron Fist was launched. That it would flush out the insurgents from southern Sudan and pacify northern Uganda. Instead, a prohibited backlash. Many lives were lost. Thousands of hearts with property were destroyed, and more than 100,000 people were displaced from the camps into the streets of Gulu and Kitgum towns. Nothing could have dealt a more severe blow to the pride, resilience, and heritage of the Acholi than the night commuter phenomenon. Separated from their parents, guardians, or any adults, every night these children were exposed to rape, HIV infection, and moral decadence. The heaviest single attack on the last frontier of the Acholi heritage and survival, its children, its future. As the night commuter phenomenon persisted, 2 or 3 NGOs responded by providing food and non-food items and later night shelters for the displaced. But among the centers, Teokono, set up by Mwaka Lutukumoi and 3 other youths, was unique. But they had no job, no NGO status, no bank account to talk about, but rose to the challenge. Bishop Beka Ochola is the most senior Anglican cleric in northern Uganda. Throughout the war period, he was based in Acholi land, the epic center of the war.
When he came back from Japan, he was given some pocket money. But when he arrived home, he found that there were very needy children, more needy than himself. So instead of using this money, he took the money and really gave to these children by building them a shelter and started doing something for them. That has really impressed me very greatly.
At least 600 children found protection and shelter here at Teokono every night, warming themselves at the fireplace and taking part in the storytelling before going to bed. In the good old days, the fireplace was the first school of life for the Acholi people. The lessons were delivered through folklore and riddles that would prick the conscience and also inspire society to act together on issues of morality, survival, and the higher values of life. Many visitors, including one of the best-seller authors in the UK, Miss Juliana Buring, have been here.
The children were struggling with their identity, actually. Where did they fit in? They had no family, no real sense of belonging anywhere. They were displaced. They were just coming into the center at night. In the day they would wander. I don't know where they would wander. I don't think they were going to school, a lot of them. So there's a story of the mouse. He needed to go hunting for his dinner. So he goes along the path that he usually takes to hunt, and he finds that the woman of the house has set for him a trap to catch him. So he says, now I can't go hunting. Let me ask my friend the chicken to help me to remove this trap. So he goes to the chicken and says, my brother, please help me to remove the trap. The chicken says, no, I'm busy now. Don't bother me. Go away. The mouse says, what can I do? So he goes to the goat, and he says, please, my brother, assist me to move this trap. And the goat says, I can't be bothered. I'm busy here eating grass. You'll ask the cow. So he goes to the cow and he says, now you are the biggest, you are the toughest and the strongest. You can easily just kick this trap aside for me. And the cow doesn't even answer. He just kicks the mouse all the way home. Mouse says, I'll go home without dinner tonight. He goes to bed. During the night, the old snake comes weaving along the path, doing his night dance. And he comes and he gets caught in the trap. And he starts crying, God, somebody help. And the mother of the house comes running out, now what is this, what is... And she puts her hand down there to find out, and she gets bitten by the snake. And she died that night. The next day, the elders of the village said, now we have to have a ritual cleansing. There's been a death in the house. So they slaughtered the chicken. And now the many people came, and they said, now we need to cleanse further. They killed the goat. Now when the funeral came around, the relatives, the family, the whole village came for this funeral. They all knew the woman. They had to have a lot of meat. They killed the cow. And the moral of the story is, someone comes to you for help, you help him, because you don't know when that trouble's coming back around to bite you one day.
It was at Ate O'Connor that Emmanuel and his colleagues discovered that here were some of the brightest children in Gulu district, and yet the war with its wider impact had brought their aspirations to a terminal point. Nevertheless, this is a story of triumph of the orphan and the destitute over helplessness. Helplessness induced by a deliberate war between the government troops and the insurgents, targeting civilians and their property. A story of 4 youngsters. Kenneth Rubakene.
I would like to become an engineer because in Uganda here there is few engineers.
Nobaro Chora.
I want to be a civil engineer.
Nancy Akumu.
My ambition is to become a doctor.
And Opio.
I want to become a doctor because my brother, that young brother of mine, he was saved by the doctor because at the time when my father was killed, he was crying, he fell of sicknesses, and then doctor helped him, and he is still alive up to today. That is why I want to be like those doctors that have saved my brother so that I save other pupils.
Kenneth Rubakene obtained a strong Division 1 in the primary living examinations. Impoverished by the war, his parents were totally unable to support his secondary education. So Emmanuel and his colleagues, now called United Youth Action for Progress, OYAP, adopted and put him in a white secondary school. Nancy Akumu obtained Division 1 in the primary living examination.
I was able to perform very well in that class. Through my performance, I was offered a scholarship called Competitive Scholarship. And I studied from Senior 1 up to Senior 4 freely.
And was the best student in northern Uganda, but couldn't continue to high school. Emmanuel and his friends in OYAP came in and supported her to join Trinity College Nabingo, one of the best and oldest girls' schools in the country. She obtained the first division and joined Makerere University on a minimal government scholarship.
I joined university through national merits.
To Nancy's dismay, although she qualified to do human medicine, she was offered forestry.
But if they had a better support than this one, I would have joined medicine or do any other medical work.
Norbert Ochora is another example of brains living in the wreckage of war in northern Uganda. He passed the primary leaving exam so well, and with assistance from OYAP, joined Kololo Secondary School, one of the oldest and biggest schools in the country.
From senior 1, I was a counselor, class counselor. In S2, they elected me as the school counselor. Then in S3, I was the assistant head boy of the school. And I was doing very well. I was given respect as head boy. And again, I was given another post to be the chairman of the Young Entrepreneurship Club in the school, which was sponsored by the Germans. I was given to be the church captain to make sure that all students go to the church and they pray, because it was a Catholic school. Start time I was the first until I reached S4, until I was the best in O-level. Got 14 aggregates in 8 subjects. My ambition is to become an engineer.
Awad Secondary School, like most schools in the sub-region during the war, was displaced from their own site. Here in the suburbs of Gulu municipality, they have been occupying an abandoned and run-down factory from the British American tobacco. Even for this, they have had to pay rent, a common plight of displaced schools.
This is for chemistry, for physics, for agriculture, for biology. Even geography practicals have to go here. The facilities are not adequate. These are the few chemicals we have. And those are the few tripod stands we have. But all the children must do science. And all these books, these are just useless books. The like of these ones are not relevant to the current situation.
The students who attend such schools are the real poorest of the poor, seen from the eyes of poverty. The school fees they pay is so minuscule that the school is perpetually in desperate need. And it was here that we met Kenneth, who was one of the best students at the primary leaving exams, scoring a strong Division 1.
I would like to become an engineer because in Uganda here there is few engineers.
We are hopeful that the situation will normalize and these children that have passed through our hands will come back and help in this place.
They remind me of my life when I was a street kid. They remind me of my life when I was struggling to see that I go to school. Because I was a father to myself and a father to my other brothers, and a father to those children whose parents died of AIDS. I suffered a lot as a fatherless, as a resourceless. At one point I almost declared myself useless. I went through it all. I was taken some time. I spent some weeks with the rebels. I got out. I struggled to go to school, to pay myself to school. I know what it takes to look for money to go to school. I know the pain widows or orphans go through.
By the year 2007, the number of youngsters being supported had risen to 15. Each passing year, a new challenge. From basic needs to tuition or school fees, almost severely outstripping the capacity to care for them. So what will happen to the other brilliant children not absorbed anywhere because of lack of support? The perception of Emmanuel and Uyap is that the recovery of the Acholi will depend first and foremost on their own initiatives, serious investments in education with particular emphasis on girl-child education, science-based professional courses, and others, through which the youth will become job creators, not seekers.
I believe that when the government come up with a policy that can give some kind of blanket support to the children bedeviled in this war, like for example bursary, students would be able to go to school. They would be able to advance to have professional studies like medicine, like law, like engineering.
The year 2004 was like the real harvest time for the outcome of the war. 50,000 primary school children dropped out of school. For secondary, the number is unknown. Many of them formerly abducted, the child soldiers, some of them with babies in hand. Without education, without living skills, how would they face the future? For Oyap, this meant the creation of vocational school for tailoring and for other skills, taking in more than 40 youths per year. For the communities interned in the camps like gulags, Oyap initiated a voluntary sanitation and medical outreach. Teaming up with medical personnel, Oyap have been able to contribute to better sanitation and to provide HIV/AIDS information. The medical team has been providing treatment and referral services. Aware that food is probably the first medicine of life, Oyap also teamed up with some agronomists to improve food production. Talk of food security in the context of the camps. Their immediate goal was to provide improved seeds to boost production for consumption and for income generation. As we were filming this, the first fruits were beginning to show. Kirombe Primary is a model school in Gulu district. Entry for the pupils is as competitive as for the teachers to get a teaching job here. Apart from the headmistress, Opio, in Standard 6, is perhaps the most respected and admired in the school. But he is not the head boy.
I didn't become a head prefect because I did not participate in the election. I would have won it because I'm well known by many people. Teachers like me because I make them happy with the pupils all.
Opio is a very active boy. He's very serious in class, and he's not a stubborn boy. He's an orphan. Almost 75% of the children are of the category of Opio.
Opio is also a top performer in his class. When his father was killed by soldiers, his mama got involved with another man and left Opio and his sibling in the care of an elderly grandma who lives far away from school. On the afternoon we filmed this school, Opio was out of class.
Yesterday, you did not find me in the school because after lunch, I have to go home and start cooking food for my young brother. So, if I don't go home at lunch, that means we shall not eat for the day. The boy is 7 years old, and I'm the one who cares for him, and we sleep together with him in that house which was given to us.
Living in a small hut on the edge of another family's compound can only explain the extent to which Opio and his sibling are vulnerable and really on their own. On his small radio set, salvaged from a garbage dump, once in a while Opio stumbles on some melodies that spice up their souls momentarily until the realities hit back at him.
Sometimes I feel like hanging myself because you see, when we are staying alone in the house, some people, I see them, they laugh with their mother, they bring for them very many things, like dresses, but for us they don't bring. This one is the boy I was talking about. He's my brother.
With a little support from Oyap to keep him in a model school, Opio has come a long way, too long to start looking back. One of his greatest challenges is to share his hope and vision with his sibling, who has advertently become his son. And sometimes this is even more defined when the brother falls sick, when there's no money, and they can't access medical care quickly.
He talks a lot about my mother and my father, because he wanted to escape even from home, because he don't have father, he don't have mother, and he said he is going to become a mad person. But I say, you little boy, let us just stay like this. We shall all grow up and we shall get somewhere to stay.
The public policy support, with the participation of the NGOs and individuals in the Acholi sub-region, meets less than 5% of the education needs. And it is this lack of concrete support to the dreams of the likes of Opio that will put the acid test to the resilience and recovery of the Acholi from the ravages of war. The war they never started, nor supported.